I'm honored to address the General Assembly on behalf of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. ASEAN expresses its support for the draft resolution A/79/L6 on the necessity of ending the economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed by the United States of America against Cuba. ASEAN aligns itself with the statements to be delivered later by Uganda on behalf of the non-aligned movement and by Iraq on behalf of the Group of 77 and China. Mr. President, ASEAN would like to say that the General Assembly has adopted this resolution 31 times by an overwhelming majority since 1992. Each year, nearly all UN member states vote in favor of the resolution. This reflects the international community's strong support for the principles enshrined in the UN Charter, namely sovereign equality, non-interference, non-intervention, and the settlement of disputes by peaceful means to preserve international peace and security and justice. ASEAN too supports this resolution. ASEAN has consistently called on the United States to lift its unilateral economic, commercial, and financial embargo against Cuba. ASEAN believes that differences between states should be resolved through dialogue and engagement rather than confrontation, isolation, or unilateral actions. Mr. President, the Secretary General's report A/79/80 continues to document the devastating impact of the United States' decades-long embargo against Cuba. The embargo has put brakes on imports, exports, financial transactions, foreign investments, remittances, and tourism. This has affected the trajectory of sustainable development across the board in Cuba and negatively impacted the lives of ordinary Cuban people. The US embargo has cost Cuba over $164 billion at current prices. From March 2023 to February 2024 alone, the blockade cost Cuba over $5 billion in losses. The United States' inclusion of Cuba in its list of states sponsoring terrorism in January 2021 reinforced the embargo and worsened its impacts. The listing introduced further friction to travel. It has prevented the flow of capital to Cuba. It has created new difficulties in Cuba's banking and financial sector, international trade, and access to credit. The United States and foreign companies alike have been unable or unwilling to supply food, fuel, medicine, equipment, and technology to Cuba. One notable consequence is that Cuba has been prevented from making its dues for membership in international organizations, as banks refuse to process such transactions. UN agencies have also reported that they struggle to operate in Cuba because of the embargo. More critically, Cuba's ability to provide basic living conditions for its people has been hurt. The Secretary General's report describes the pervasive, substantial, and negative socio-economic and environmental impacts of the embargo and the listing on ordinary Cubans. Cuba had been one of the most successful countries in attaining the Millennium Development Goals. The embargo hinders and threatens to undo the significant progress Cuba has made towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The embargo has also strained Cuba's